A massive thank you to the Brain Cancer Group for believing in the power of storytelling and shared experiences.
So let's dive into today's episode. Here we are at Heads Up with M, which I have to say I appreciate it just being M. I think it should be with M and Gab. I guess
Heads Up with M works. It's with you.
It has a meaning, actually, which we'll get into later. But yeah, actually, Heads Up is a good name for us, I think, because I guess it's a take on keep your head up. Maybe a little heads up in keep an eye out for different symptoms and things going on.
True.
You know, early diagnosis.
Brain is inside the head.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
And
one more little reason she's special to us. You guys might not appreciate it until you know a little bit about our birthday.
Yes.
Which is coming soon.
Exactly.
Later this episode.
Exactly. Which is always fun. We'll end on a high, but we're going to start with a low.
Little bit of a low, ups and downs.
Ups and downs. So I guess at this point we're coming back from hospital. I'm re-navigating my new environment.
So post-surgery, but pre-diagnosis.
Exactly. We spoke about this being a really difficult time for a lot of cancer patients. Finding out, how bad it is. And you don't know what's ahead. And that's quite scary. How much treatment, how long is it going to last, all of these things. And what is it? I mean, a lot of people talk in terms of prognosis, and you think you're going to go into your next appointment being like, okay, so this is how long we think you'll have. And that's kind of what I was expecting, but no one talks about lifespan or life expectancy. And I think that's really healthy. I think medicine is kind of moving away from that, which is really good. Anyway, so I'm in this in-between phase, right? There are small wins here and there, and I start coming home from the hospital. You do feel like a newborn baby in a way because you have to be taken care of. I had to take care of my children in a way that I could best, but I needed someone to supervise me to do that.
And that's because of your vision at the time, or because of your healing from the surgery?
Yeah, exactly. Like the healing was quite big. Everything was so delicate.
You're still tired, you need rest.
Yeah, like you can feel your skull kind of coming together again. And I don't want to get too gory. I'm not afraid of gore. So if anyone wants the gory details of what that feels like,
ask me, I'll tell you.
Ask me and I will tell you what that actually feels like, because I take out a circle. We can get into it later. But if you want to know, you can ask. You can find me. Anyway, so I'm recovering from this. And yeah, the vision thing is a big one, navigating my house. I think you were here, Gab, for a big dispute that Jake and I had over how the reorganization of the bedroom was. Because Jake we were moving house at this time, so there was extra furniture in this house. And he's wanting all this additional furniture in our room. We have a newborn with us, and also I'm blind. I'm waking up in the night to feed her. So I'm like, how? And he's like, we need to have this extra. You remember how ridiculous it looked?
And you want a clear pathway.
That's what I was saying. I needed a clear pathway. Anyway, so we navigated, these hurdles. So it was all about like making things as easy as possible. We had small wins when I'm a big, I wouldn't call myself a chef, but I'm a big home cook. I love cooking, and I think that's where I'm most comfortable. And I was excited for the day that I would be able to get back in the kitchen and cook.
Cook for yourself.
Cook for myself and cook for my family. I think food brings people together. We live and breathe food in my household and in my work. But I couldn't wait to cook again. And that what came, maybe a week after I had the surgery, and I made my parents avocado toast. And even picking up a knife again, I was just like, oh my God.
It's happening.
It's happening. And like you're kind of scared because of the vision, like about cutting yourself and little things. But like that was an achievement. Like I made my parents avocado toast, and I made my daughter scrambled eggs, and even, turning on the gas. Yeah. All these different things while you have a toddler running around you. And I was like, I made her scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And I fed it to her. Like these are just tiny little things you gain confidence with.
Yes, you're turning corners.
Yeah, exactly.
Climbing stairs.
I am climbing stairs, and that was good. So we go into waiting for this diagnosis, and that comes around the 2 weeks after the surgery. We get a call from my surgeon, and he has the report written down on paper. And so it was via Zoom. And he kind of receives this information, I think, and just like, he needs to tell me. It's his duty to tell me. And I'm going to share with you my diagnosis, but I really want to stress how important it is not to compare your diagnosis to mine, for those who are listening, because everyone's diagnosis might, you might have this type of tumor, but there are so many variables that go into that. Where in the brain? Did your operation go? Does it impact your mobility and your lifestyle? So I think it's very different for a whole group of people, and I really don't want people to compare theirs to mine. But for the sake of this podcast being about brain cancer, I'll tell you the details of mine. So I went into this Zoom call expecting grade 1 or grade 2, and this is what I had been doing, like, my home Googling on. I didn't look past grade 1 and 2, and I was told that it was grade 3. And the name is astrocytoma. So that was kind of presented to me. And the way he said it, all I can remember, because you kind of like, what? Like, I wasn't even expecting this word. I was looking at the others. Why are you in this conversation? So I was kind of lost at that point. We're on this Zoom call with my dad and Jake and myself. And I kind of just tuned out. I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is not what we were expecting. And so it was nothing against how it was said to me or the doctor presenting the information itself. It was more me kind of, that's when I just tuned out and zoned out. And I was like, I'm not present anymore.
Yeah.
This is worse. And I do remember him saying these words. He said, we only found just a few cells, and that's quite good because you're going to get more treatment. And he said, there's this IDH thing. And I was hearing those things, but you lost me at astrocytoma. So I didn't register. I went to bed that night and I Googled astrocytoma. And Googling that is like the actual worst thing to do. Definitely don't recommend Googling, especially when you don't have a full consultation about what your next steps are forward, because the plan that puts in place definitely helps. So I Googled what it was and I was like, oh my God, it said that I had 2 to 5 years to live. And you go into this state of like, well, what's the point? Of course, I considered like, if I was here for 5 years, would that impact my daughter's worth? If I left now, would it be easier when they don't know me, when they don't remember me? These really, really heavy feelings come into play. And I was really dark and really low. And I thought, well, what is the point? I'm going to spend this time, young kids are hard. Putting all this effort into them, and am I going to enjoy them? Am I going to really be here for those good moments when they're growing up? And that's what I want to relish in. That's the whole point of why I had these children, to watch them grow.
You want to see them become adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You want to see them through their whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just, very much in a frozen state.
So the researching on Google wasn't helping. You were drowning in these negative.
Yeah. And I didn't really know what was happening next. So that was it. And like, I think it's kind of good in a way with the medical system that you're kind of thrown into this and you don't know because the admin is being done for you, but you're going down this stream of care. You don't know who you're seeing next.
Different doctors you over to different ones.
Exactly. And I can't really control where I'm going, but it's kind of good because suddenly I got a call 2 days later. So I'm down this negative, I don't know what's happening next. And I get this call from Dr. Back. And he calls me and he's like, Emily, I can't find you. I'm at the hospital. Which room are you in? And I'm like, oh, I'm at home. And he was like, oh, I'm trying to find you. Can you make it in? He's in Royal North Shore. So he's in North Sydney. I'm in Avalon. He's like, can you come? And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. He's like, okay, I'll see you soon. I was like, okay, I'm coming from Avalon. He's like, don't worry, I'll be here. I was like, okay, put down the phone. And it's like, okay, we've got the kids, the newborn, who's going to drive, who's got car seats. You know, we're trying to navigate the logistics of, again, like transporting me and who's whatever. It's just like, always this like exhaustion of like admin of how will we even get there.
The practicality.
Exactly. We do it. So whatever. Myself, because then I'm like, well, who are my support people? You know, I needed myself there. I needed Jake there. Then I also felt like I needed my dad there, because you need more people to understand what the doctors are saying. I was like, I'll interpret it one way. They'll interpret it another way. We need more ears. Exactly. So we go to his office, and honestly, like, Dr. Back is just a total celebrity to me. Dr. Back he sat us all down. I mean, we're the pram, everything, this whole like team. And if you haven't met my husband, he's almost 7 foot tall. So his presence alone is like, just like overwhelming. And again, I put myself in their shoes, you know, giving us this whole team, but I'm sure they have these conversations all the time, you know, and probably harder than mine. But yeah, they all come in, and so we're all there, and Dr. Back and Marina, and it was great to meet Marina as well on this day. And she's there kind of.
Marina.
So Marina is the nurse practitioner of the brain cancer group, and she is almost like a very mothering figure. It's incredible. Her role is not offered in a lot of cancer hospitals. But what she does is she's interpreting the information to you. If you ever need it interpreted, she's explaining it to you. And then in between your appointments, if you have a question, if something happens, if there's any changes going on, you should ring her, you call her, and she's there. And that's invaluable. Her role is so important. I mean, how she remembers all the patients as well and what they've been going through. Like immediately, I tell her, hi, Marina, I'm experiencing this. She knows exactly what's going on. She doesn't need to like, oh, let me look at the patient files. You know, she's incredible. So I meet Dr. Back and Marina, and Dr. Back is, I'm thinking, so this is 2 days before Christmas, the 23rd of December. And I think, God, we just had this difficult conversation a few days ago, and we're about to hit Christmas. I can't be bothered to have another hard conversation. Like, this is just bringing a downer. And I was just going into this being really down. But it was the opposite. He was like, okay. So he sat me down and he like wrote down, and I think seeing it in writing was really helpful. And he was like, you had an excellent resection, tick. You had, very good borders around thing, tick. And he was like saying these positive things and just like seeing those ticks made me feel like, I am teacher's pet. I'm doing well, you know. And it's like, I think
he's marking my homework. He's like, yes, this all went well.
Exactly. And he says, you know, yeah, like it's not what we expected. It's not what we wanted. But the fact that you had these cells allows you to go in hard and fast with this treatment. And this is what we're going to do for you. We'll do 33 rounds of radiation and 6 to 12 months of chemotherapy. And he makes this plan for you and he writes it down for you, and you have to sign this document, and he like signs it over to you, and it's like signing away a new lease on life. It was like, yes, oh my gosh, I'm in your hands now, please, absolutely sign it off. Thank you for taking care of me.
So you had full trust, full confidence in him.
Absolutely. He was just had such a good demeanor about him, and yeah, it was just his presence. I mean, I did receive really good news with the IDH1 mutation, and to explain a little bit more about that, IDH1 was discovered recently in the last 10 years, and even though it's part of, you know, astrocytoma is a high grade and fast-growing tumor. The IDH1 kind of slows down its growth a little bit, so it gives you more time to find it if it were to come back. And because they've been able to identify it, there's a lot of research going into possibly trying to cure it. And now with brain cancer, there hasn't been a lot of changes in regards to curing it in the last 30 to 40 years. There are attempts being made, but the chemotherapy is the same from when it was first discovered in, I think, the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, wow. So same treatments being used as it was.
Same treatments. What is improving is how you treat it. So, for example, and the MRI. So MRI machines are getting better, which improves radiation. So they're targeting, and that's a big part of Dr. Back's job, is his targeted radiation treatments. He's getting clear images. He's studying your scans, and he's really targeting that area where he's going to radiate. And that's improving. So that's really good. And really the goal, what he said with me, is to change this from a, terminal diagnosis into a, I guess you'd say like a chronic illness, dealing with it as it comes. So we're going to blast this hard and fast, hope that it doesn't come back. If it does come back, that's okay. We'll deal with it again. And it's you're just going to, bunny hop onto the next thing, and hopefully buy me some time until actual discoveries are made.
New treatments are available.
And new treatments are available. Exactly. So that was my plan, and I'm just absolutely on board. And that's where we go into kind of, he said you wait 6 weeks before you do radiation. And so I was kind of happy to have that time off to celebrate Christmas and New Year's and relax for a bit before we started treatment in radiation in February. And that was, I knew, going to be, a big year. And how do you prepare for that,
Yeah. How did you prepare for that?
Good question. I guess we sort of thought of a few things. So we moved in with my parents.
Yeah.
So immediately after the surgery, we didn't know where to live. We knew we needed a bigger space because we were saying we were living in a shoebox. But then we needed the additional support, people there to help us. I couldn't drive. So what if one of my children is sick, or I'm sick, or Jake's at work? How do we function? So moving in with my parents was vital. And figuring out, I guess, a dynamic. I'm really independent. And that was hard with figuring out how to take care of the kids. I am really lucky in that we did get a babysitter who, not really a babysitter, she wasn't full-time, and it was a few hours each day just to help me get out of the house and almost watch me watching my children, because I wanted to get out every day, and I didn't know, I had to keep 2 eyes on the kids, and like I needed another set of eyes, and I almost wanted her to watch me do it and then be there if I needed her. So we got that for a bit, but it didn't last long. I quite quickly was back on my feet.
Got back into your groove.
Exactly.
Managing both of the girls on your own.
You know what Dr. Back says?
What does he say?
He says, if you're not working, you're walking. And so that's what we did. We just walked everywhere. I got the Doppel pram and we were just walking. And that's really good because exercise, really helps with mental health and physical health.
Yeah.
And when you're not driving anyway, you need to walk. So we're just walking everywhere.
Totally.
Yeah. So we enjoyed that. And I think having the job of getting out of the house every day just made you feel accomplished. And yeah, you kind of get on with it. I feel like I am blessed in the sense that I had children. And so every morning you have to wake up and you have to do it. But then I also think I think people find other facets of getting on with it. For me, it was my kids or cooking, but for other people, it could be something else. It could be getting back to work, or it could be gardening. It could be a relationship. It could be, going for a drive or a new exercise or a new sport that they're into.
Starting a business, starting a podcast.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Who knows? I think putting your mind towards something is really helpful. So for me, that's what it was. But yeah, it could be something else for someone else. Yeah, and this is where we kind of started thinking positively, and the more I just continued living, the more I was like, okay, this really wasn't as bad as I thought. And that's when I kind of got inspired to share this, because that's where I was like, I think I needed to know this a few months ago. I would have loved to hear what this would have actually felt like, you know? So, you know, I did go to radiation, and that is quite hard. You do 6.5 weeks and you go every day except for the weekends. And we live about 40 minutes from the closest clinic.
Who would take you to the radiation?
My dad. And we formed this routine, which was really nice because my mom would be with the girls, Jake would go to work, and my dad and I would go. And we'd get a coffee. Sometimes we'd sit in silence. Sometimes we'd just listen to music. Sometimes we'd argue. Sometimes we'd laugh. And it's almost like you go through these experiences and you find like, wow, I really bonded with my dad over that period of time. And like, wow, it really sucked that I had to live with my parents and start life from scratch. But my kids got to spend time with them and form a bond with them that they wouldn't have otherwise.
It's very special.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And so, yeah, radiation is okay. I mean, the machine is fine. I really have admiration for the women, people. It was just women who worked at my clinic, but the people who work at these clinics, seeing people right in the heart of their discovery. You know, it's usually right after surgery or right after finding out, and they're showing up every day for these appointments. And the people who were working at the clinic were so pleasant, so kind, always smiling. So I had a really good experience there. I did lose my hair from the radiation. So this is kind of, people are wondering whether I lost it from the chemo. The chemotherapy didn't make me lose my hair. Very few people lose their hair with the type of chemo I was on. It was the radiation. And it's like a perfect circle of where they radiate. And it started to fall out at the back of my head. And in like little chunks. And you just
Do you remember when it started to fall out?
Yes. Jake and I went on this terrible road trip. I was like, we had initially over Christmas planned to go away, which was obviously cancelled. And so last minute I was like, okay, I was like in the middle of radiation, but it was a long weekend. So I was going to have 3 days off, and I was like, let's go to Bellingen. And I think that's quite far away. It was like 7 hours. And I was like, okay, let's book. I booked this like glamping style tin shed. It was amazing. I was like, we'll wake up 3 a.m. and we'll drive up there. And so we drove all the way up there
With your two girls?
with the two girls. And it was 41 degrees that day inside at a tin shed. So we got inside the tin shed. It was an oven. It was like 60 degrees. And we drove around in the car all day hoping that the temperature would decrease, but it obviously didn't. So we got back to the shed at like 3 o'clock and we're like, okay, let's just drive home.
So you've driven all the way there?
You drove all the way there,
All the way.
all the way back. And I was like pulling out my hair. That's when it started on the way back, and it just the head. And so like, it was a pretty terrible weekend. Honestly, the worst.
But you had been told that you would lose your hair?
Yeah, I was prepared for it. And I don't know if this comes... people prepared me for the pain I would feel losing my hair. Not physical, but emotional. And you get leaflets on it and everyone talks to you about it. But maybe it's because I had just had a baby. I was like, I couldn't give two shits about how I look right now, honestly. And I think your priorities shift when you get this kind of diagnosis as well. Like,
Grateful to be here.
I'm grateful to be here, and like I really couldn't care less about my hair.
You weren't going out and about too much at that stage.
I was like, yeah, doesn't matter.
I'm looking after my girls.
Exactly. Let's really see what this experience is like.
Okay.
It was quite unique. And yes, so it eventually all fell out in a perfect kind of circle across the top of my head. And it reached a stage where it became hard to hide the bald patch with my hair. And I think it was quite the hardest. I wanted to shave my head early on, but it was harder for my parents to... I think they were like...
envision you with no hair.
Yes. They were like, but then everyone will know you have cancer. And I was like, but they were...
Everyone knows.
everyone knows in my circle. Like, it's okay if strangers know I have cancer. Yeah. And but I think it was hard for them to see me that way, for them to see it all the time. And I felt living with them was really hard on them because they were
confronted by it.
Yes, exactly. And I felt so bad for being around in that way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, it was hard. But we did, eventually it reached a point with my hair where trying to cover it, I thought was more confronting because you would get you would just see strands of hair covering this big bald spot. And I was like, I think that's actually worse because you see someone, you think don't have cancer. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, what is that? Exactly. And it really was confronting. I was at a swimming lesson with my daughter, Rafi, and I'm wearing a hat to kind of cover it up. And there are, 4 or 5 other parents in the pool with their kids. And Rafi pulls off my hat and I could just feel the energy. Everyone kind of like cringe and realize I had been going swimming lessons with these people, for like the year. I felt them. I felt their pity and I felt their sorrow. And I was like, I'd much rather them just see it face up instead of this confrontation of this accident happening and this discovery. And I've shocked you now. I didn't want that.
I feel like ready, like I can show this. I can shave my head.
Exactly. So when it came after that, experience, I was like, well, we're doing it. Like, we're just gonna shave it, and we did it, and it felt really nice because it was my choice. I was like, let's just do it.
And who was there when you shaved your head?
So a really good friend of mine from Avalon, Lisa, she is a photographer, and I had told her this, I think like that day or the day after, about that experience. And I was like, I'm done. I'm going to shave it. And she was like, oh, can I please take photos? And I'm so grateful she was there because when you watch movies about like people shaving their heads on like cancer movies, it's always like the sorrowful moment and crying. And I'm sure it is like that. But the reality was like, I was like, I'm not going to make it that for me. I was like, I'm not that girl in that movie. I am choosing to do this. I'm going to do it. And I'm actually probably going to feel better about myself because I don't like this awkward phase right now,
Yeah, I'm just going to embrace it. It's happening,
Exactly.
whether I like it or not.
Exactly. Yeah. So we did that March last year. And it felt really good. And I was like, I'm kind of excited to see all the different phases of my hair. I have to say, I didn't like any of them until now. It's probably why I'm agreeing to be on camera.
This is the stage
we're out of the awkward phase.
Yeah.
I think it was really hectic for a while. And initially I was like, I'm going to bleach it. And then we bleached it.
Disaster.
Someone made it gray at one point.
It's gone through a few stages.
Exactly.
I did really like the shaved head though.
Same. I didn't mind it. But I was talking recently about how like I'm a bun girl. I love a good bun, and this feeling of it being pulled back is the most satisfying feeling ever. And even with a shaved head, I thought I would love that.
Yeah.
But I needed the pull. I love it.
You've been missing that.
I'm back.
Yeah, she's back.
Exactly.
The messy bun is making a reappearance.
Exactly. So here we are now. We are getting ready for our birthdays again.
Yes. Birthdays coming up.
Exactly. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about birthdays in general. In terms of how birthdays, I think after this diagnosis or after this experience, it really was hard for me to enjoy other people's birthdays. So for example, soon after my diagnosis, it was my sister's birthday. And I think she's like 6 years older than me. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're just this is an awful feeling. She in no way contributed to this feeling.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know this. But I went to her birthday thinking, you have no idea how lucky you are that you got these extra 6 years and you're just like celebrating your birthday like, oh, another year. And I'm like, I don't know if I have 6 years. It's so lucky, and you're just getting another one, and you're just
How easy it is to turn 37 or
yeah,
whatever. it is.
exactly. It's just like, oh, how good. Oh, don't talk about my age. And I think a lot of people who are diagnosed with cancer in this like lower age group, they have this jealousy because you're like of people who are older, because it's like it really gives you the perspective of what a privilege it is to get
To
old.
age.
And I definitely now have sympathy for people 50 plus. But when I was first diagnosed, I had feelings of resentment. I had feelings of, you have no idea how lucky you are. I so desperately would love to be talking about my future as though I'm going to see grandchildren, as though I'm going to be at these events. You have no idea how lucky you are just because you've made it, you know? Now I've processed, and I really understand.
You can accommodate more empathy for those people who are older, getting diagnosed as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Initially,
I
it was
mean,
hard. And
tough at any age, I guess, right? And then
Yeah.
you have like parents looking after young children. who are
Exactly.
diagnosed.
And that's like an area.
It's just big and tough all around
Exactly.
at any age.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
get to your sister's birthday and you're like, I can't grasp the idea of being happy for you for your birthday and how easy it is for you to just have a birthday when I'm
And you're like
connected
celebrate
to your birthday
Yes.
age.
Exactly.
And was you still have this feeling about other people's birthday or your own birthday?
Yeah, I guess like I didn't for a while until this year. Now you and I are turning 32. And
Do you feel 32?
like, no, like in many ways, is it because we're trapped in this idea of being 30 and like, oh, we're scared of turning 30? Or is it, am I trapped in the time I was diagnosed? I was diagnosed at the age of 30 and I still feel like I haven't left that age, you know? And I wonder if other people connect with this. It's like, I'm still there, and how is time passing, but I'm still there.
Yeah. And how much do you want time to pass? Like you want to move forwards with
Yeah.
life, you want to do new things.
Exactly.
You want this life after your diagnosis.
In some ways, you're kind of trapped and stunted, you know?
So I guess that's it for today. That's
Yes.
enough for now.
Yes.
We've gone through a lot of the ups, still some of the downs.
Mm-hmm.
And these topics are obviously, they're tough ones. It's real stuff that's happened to you. But it would be cool to like hear from other people if they're listening and they're like relating to this kind of things you're saying. If anything that like Em has touched on, you feel like you want to, I don't know, give some comments, feedback, suggestions, ideas.
I agree, because I really haven't, and this is why we're here and making this, I really haven't met many people, especially in my age category, going through a cancer diagnosis. So I'd love to hear if people relate, if people have questions, if they want to know more about certain areas. And I think we'll dive into those later as we go on. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Heads Up with Em. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you're a brain cancer survivor, a caregiver, or someone just looking for some inspiration, remember you're not alone and your story matters. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review if you enjoyed the episode. It helps others find this space too. If you want to connect, you can find me on Heads Up with Em Instagram and my Instagram account, Emily Francesca Kirk. I'm excited to share more with you next time.